the Heed the Call podcast. We'll be starting at quarterback for the Raiders in Week 16.
Tell me we'd be worse. Can you guarantee that if Mark and I traded quarters, we'd be worse?
Look, I'd give it a try.
Welcome to Heed the Call, Monday Night Football doubleheader edition. But if you're a fan of this program, you know better. There was one Monday night game and then something else. I don't know exactly what it was. I think it was football. Maybe a drone attack. Dan Hanzus here. Marc Sessler. Sessdog, we're going to get caught up on the news and all the injuries going on right now with the contenders, but we're going to start with the Monday Night Football games. One Monday Night Football game, and the other game was played on Monday night. How are you, buddy?
Well, I've been injured. I mean, if you asked how I was around 4 p.m., Pacific time, faring well. I feel like I've slow danced with the Zodiac Killer this evening. That's how this felt, this so-called doubleheader.
I thought for a second you were saying that like you had taken a fall or pulled a muscle or injured yourself in some type of amateur athletic contest. And then I thought about my friend Mark, who I've known for almost 15 years now. And I can't recall ever playing any level of sports with you or even really ever seeing you throw a ball. And certainly I've never heard you come down with any type of soft tissue injury or, yeah, I got bruised ribs, I took a fall. Like, you're a guy who seems to avoid any type of physical ailment just by keeping yourself in a narrow lane. Yes or no?
Well, I'll say no, because we once threw the football in a large park. We once did I believe it was Frisbee with your brother, where we had to try to connect 32 times in a row without dropping it. But
you got sucked into a Dan Hanzus, you must do this many in a row game? I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, it's not my first time, but what I don't get involved in, and I didn't do softball because I can't see without glasses. I never got contacts. So I was the manager of that team and the general manager, if you recall.
Oh, and unbelievable. You did
multiple
great work.
Championships.
Maybe you could do some better work for some of the teams we watched today. Let's get into it. Let's start with the game, the true Monday night game that went down in Minneapolis. Hit it, Gravedigger. And by the way, shout out to all the people following along live right now. You guys are the best, and we'll be sure to check in with you as the program goes on. All right, Gravy. I mean, we gave him like a 3-minute lead up. He late on the cue with that?
He's here. We know that.
Laptop issue. I hit play and then it like froze for 4 seconds and then the thing started moving.
It sounds like a gummy issue potentially.
Apologies.
Let's get to it. The Minnesota Vikings have won. I mean, this is crazy. This kind of snuck up on me. Minnesota Vikings have won 7 games in a row now. They are 12-2 and tied with the Detroit Lions atop the NFC North after a 30-12 win over the woebegone Chicago Bears, a game in which Aaron Jones and Cam Akers both had touchdown runs in the second half. Sam Darnold connected with Justin Jefferson early. Jefferson with a nice little nod to Randy Moss after the score. Randy Moss fighting cancer, and best wishes to Randy Moss. And it was just a cruise to the finish line for the Minnesota Vikings, who improved to 7-1 at home and control their destiny, Mark, in the NFC. They don't have an easy close, but at Seattle, home Green Bay, at Detroit, they win all 3 of those games, and they win the NFC North, and they are the number 1 seed in the NFC. So in a game where, and we'll get to the Bears, who were as dysfunctional as ever in this game, but the Vikings, very much a take-care-of-business operation, even if it wasn't the prettiest sight.
I heard or read somewhere that people pointed out their schedule this season, looking back, and I disagree with this, but I just would say, here quickly are their wins. And what have these teams become? The Giants, the 49ers, the Texans, the Packers, the Jets, the Colts, the Jaguars, the Titans, the Bears twice, the Cardinals, and the Falcons. Now, that said, you've got a coaching staff that I think is one of the toughest on offense and defense coaching staffs to deal with. You've got a head coach that turns Sam Darnold into a legitimate starting quarterback. No one else has been able to do that. I think they're vengeful and they're forceful and they're for real. I take them for real, and it's like they can't control who they play. We hear that all the time, but they are a pretty dominant offense when they want to be, and sometimes they have to get out of their own way, but it's also their defense. So this is the first Vikings team, and I almost don't want to say it because you know what happens then, but I believe in them because they're balanced and they're kind of what you want to be at this time of year, and they can play in any environment.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him a pass, Mark, on this schedule situation, just because like they have only 2 losses, and one of them.
Like I said though, I'm not flying a banner with that.
But you did do it, Mark. Yeah. You did do it to him. You hit him with the look at the guys that they beat. So let me just push back and say one of their 2 losses came when they got beat on a field goal with 15 seconds to go, and that's how the Lions took them out. So their first matchup against Detroit, the presumptive number 1 seed in the NFC, went down to the wire, and they'll get them again with a chance potentially for all the marbles in the NFC North. And I think this was one of those games where you end up kind of playing down to your opponent already a little bit. The defense did its job, though the Bears make that very easy with the product they're putting on the street right now. I thought the offensive line in this game was leaky. I thought Sam Darnold missed on a bunch of throws. Justin Jefferson didn't help Darnold out. He dropped a likely touchdown in the first half. The special teams gave up a gnarly block punt that nearly got their punter killed. But like I said, the Bears are playing at such a low level right now that this was one of those games that sometimes you're just going to grind your way through it. And, you know, did I mention you're wearing your... I'm not a fan of their alternate uniforms because I love the Vikings regular uniforms so much. So I'm going to ding them there. And I'm also going to ding them for using Vanilla Ice at halftime. We could do better than that in 2024. But overall, they get a pass for not being impressive. They just took care of business, but they'll have to be sharper if they're going to close this division out.
I mean, they were up 20-3. They were up 27-6. And then it, like, you know, with a lot of these division games, it turned into something else. Maybe they were prescient enough to know what kind of game this would be to the viewer, and they thought the Vanilla Ice would fit that at halftime. In that case, they're ahead of the ball. And I disagree with you. I like the helmets. I was trying to figure out from a distance across the living room what they actually looked like because they looked like unfinished products, but I enjoyed those. So we can disagree aesthetically there. They beat a team.
Yeah, that's absolutely, you're well within your rights to disagree with me on that. And
okay.
I'm glad that you voiced your opinion there.
They beat a team that, to me, just appears as they've become increasingly dysfunctional and increasingly lost as this bitter and terrible campaign has moved along.
I mean, thank God they got Eberflus out of there, huh? Because, you know, who knows what would have happened if Matt Eberflus was still around. This could have been 60-6 for all we know. I mean, here I'm watching this game, and one of my pet peeves, I have to say, of doing what we do is when I criticize a team, like a bad team or a good team, and then the angry fans from that team will go like, you can't say anything because the Jets suck. Baby, you got it the wrong way. It's the other way around. I know what dysfunction looks like because I lived it and breathed it my whole life as a football fan. And when I watch these Bears, everything I see around this team is dysfunction. I see Thomas Brown, who should have never, I said it the day it happened, he should have never been taken out of that offensive coordinator spot. They should have left him there. They should have let Eberflus take the bullets for the rest of the season. I thought the Bears did a terrible job succumbing to the mob mentality after the ugly way the Thanksgiving game played out, and they fired Eberflus the next day. They should have kept him in that job, let him take the heat for the rest of the season, then kick him out the door right after Week 18. You should have let Connor Williams and Thomas Brown work together, focus on the task at hand, because look what has happened since Brown took over now. I think Connor Williams is a man on an island. I think it's an ugly look. You watch the way this game played out, where the number 1 pick is Caleb Williams, is taking all sorts of hits. He's holding the ball too long. It doesn't seem like he has the right coaching around him. At one point, he takes a wicked hit on to end a drive, and they cut to him on the bench. And there's not a single. Here's the shot. Check it out on YouTube. I hope you're watching. And if you're not, please check out the show on YouTube. Not a single medical personnel around the number 1 overall pick in the NFL. Not even a goddamn water boy coming with some Gatorade and saying, hey, do you need anything? This is what dysfunction looks like. And then you have Doug Kramer Jr. coming in on the field, lining up at fullback. He doesn't declare. Okay, you could put the heat on Doug Kramer, but this is a coaching issue too. And Troy Aikman called out, it looks like a guy that didn't even know he was supposed to do that. So you got that. You have Caleb Williams hold the ball too long. You got Rome Odunze dropping gimme touchdown passes. You got DeAndre Swift getting bottled up on multiple 3rd and 4th and short scenarios. This team is a mess, and they got to clean this thing up or they're going to ruin this kid, because I've watched my team ruin kids, including the kid that played quarterback for the Vikings today. Come on, do better, Bears. This is a big offseason.
Well, that is a message for Bears fans. And by the way, Bears fans that I've talked to that have been around for a while, they're not going to punch back at the Jets or someone else. They see that it is invasive and starts with ownership, and you've got to unseed that cancer to change this. I really think that's been the biggest problem here. And a lot of they've got a lot of these sort of hidden executives throughout the organization that make these power decisions that we then have to watch and witness. The Doug Kramer thing, and that's when I want to listen to Troy Aikman, because he made it clear to me, and I'm sure there'll be think pieces and a lot of articles, and we'll find out what absolutely happened. I don't think he even knew on any level he was supposed to. I don't think he even knew that was what he was supposed to do. It wasn't like he forgot. This wasn't a skipper situation, or there was some miscommunication with the ref. I think this communication on this offense, and you can put it on Thomas Brown, but he also was elevated beyond what he's able to do right now, and you can see that. It is just a team that does not function. That was their chance. They were down 13-0. DeAndre Swift scores, and then that unspools them. Okay, then they have there's a holding call right after that. Then two straight incompletions, field goal, 13-3, and the game is over because you can't get out of your own way. You had one chance, one doorway into this, and it is your own coaching staff and your own breakdown in communication. And I could not be more with you watching Caleb Williams squirm around and then on the ground. And it tells me something when he told Troy Aikman, how are you? Like, this is a comment we can use for television. I am healthy, but he said, here's what it was. I am healthy, but I am fatigued. And that's part of going from college to the pros, but it has a lot to do with how you're nurtured as a rookie. And he has not been nurtured. He's been through 14 different voices in his head this year, and it's one of the worst treatments of a rookie quarterback since our teams, essentially, the Browns, Jets, and other junk teams that can't do it. And they're right there. And right now, it's unbelievable what's happening. And you are going to lose your fan base, those you haven't already lost, if you continue to make these decisions that are not pro-team level decisions.
You know what? They're not going to lose the fan base because, like Browns fans and like Jets fans, Bears fans are great fans, and they're loyal fans.
They are.
And they deserve better than what they've been getting. And this has, I feel an affinity because as a fellow follower of a bad organization entering a season with a lot of high hopes, I remember, I don't know where you came down on it, Mark. I don't remember anymore. But at the end of the summer, I was very high on this Bears team. I made a point to bring up constantly that Caleb Williams was in a much more functional situation than Bryce Young was last year as the number 1 overall pick with Carolina. And it just goes to show you, first, nobody knows anything. Second, the people that do know knew more than me and others, that when you have bad coaching, and by the way, that's the other thing. Don't take that me saying that Matt Eberflus was a good head coach. No, he was bad. In fact, he should have never come back this year. But all I'm saying is, yes, at the point where you finally were gaining some sense of positive momentum with Thomas Brown working with Caleb Williams, that you should have just kept it as it was. That's all I mean by that. They need to figure out what has gone wrong here. But I do think, and I thought Aikman took it too far with the way he defended Poles, the GM, Ryan Poles, and I think, what was this quote? It kind of got on my radar a little bit.
Well, that's relationships, I think. But
yeah,
right.
Aikman said, in no way does Troy Aikman think Ryan Poles has done a bad job. Listen, when the team is this bad, the GM has to take some bullets. And yes, the roster has talent, but obviously there are deficiencies on the roster, and the coaching staff has been an abomination, and they have to figure that out. So, and the other thing that was floating out there that Aikman brought up, and you never know, because Aikman is a plugged-in guy, a respected guy. Mike Florio had written kind of a speculative piece about the idea of, the Bears. It makes so much sense for them to go after Kyle Shanahan. And then you see Troy Aikman speaking that into existence on the air and live. Like, that would make a lot of sense because that's the type of seismic move the Chicago Bears need to get their house in order. So while I don't think we should just be like piling on the Bears, like, you're watching this game and you're saying, okay, the Vikings took care of business tonight, but like the story is kind of like, what has become of the Bears and how do they fix this before they ruin Caleb Williams, who I really do like a lot. I think he's a tough son of a bitch. Like, you could tell he's been able to fight through a lot this year, and he has a lot to learn, and he needs to get rid of the ball quicker. He's not helping his offensive line. But I think there's a big-time quarterback locked away in him. You just got to make sure you don't ruin that or see him develop into that for someone else, because that ain't fun.
I think it is. I'm with you. It loses intrigue just to pile on them. And I know this team's in a little bit of trouble right now, but like the Lions were like the Bears for a long time. And like finally you make the right change and look what happens. Everything finally alters and changes. So you got to go get a Kyle Shanahan type guy. People that follow the Bears understand they don't make these hires. That's not the kind of person they go get. They're going to go. I promise you that when we start to see the names, that it will underwhelm you. That's just my sense. It will underwhelm because this is not a team and a franchise and an organization that's done that. I hope I'm wrong for Bears fans because I wasn't.
Well, we
trying
said
to...
that. We did say that about the Lions for years, and then they found the right guy, Dan Campbell, who wasn't hoisted up as a slam dunk when it happened. Look at Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota, who absolutely deserves to be getting Coach of the Year buzz.
Do you want Ryan Poles picking the one thing is now you've got you're going back and you're seesawing back and forth between keep this guy and not that guy, and it's like I think what it works is when you've got two people that know they can work together and they go in together, and that's how and there's no infighting and there's no power structure that doesn't make sense to the human mind. Like, this is what concerns me about bad teams, and the Bears are a bad team.
I agree with that. Like, this idea, and you have Aikman carrying the water for Poles. You're mismatching, a potential reboot here, and that could lead to more drama. And hopefully the Bears get it right, because like I said, great fan base, great football city. I think we all kind of got excited by the idea that they would enter the NFC North fray and be interesting. And here they are, 4-10, 0-7 on the road. Let's hit the other game. I don't know how much we want to really spend on this game, Marcus. I don't know how many people are listening to the show right now that really are totally invested in a deeply middling Falcons team and a very bad Raiders team. But let's hit it real quick anyway. Hit it, Justin. Let's see how he's doing on this one. He's right on top. He just needed to warm up. You know what I mean, Mark? You there, Mark?
I was muted during the music there for some reason. I'm not sure where that came from. So I mean,
ooh, I like that's a little that's a little diabolical producer work. He's gaslighting you.
I won't blame him.
Not me.
It could have been a tech issue, but I wanted to clear that up. Yeah, I don't think we need to spend a Russian novel on this.
All right, here we go. Kirk Cousins throws his first touchdown pass in 5 weeks. Marron. And the Falcons find a way to eke past the woeful, moribund Las Vegas Raiders 15-9. Is that a scoregami? Get over it. Grow up, Peter Pan. So the Raiders the Falcons get a desperately needed win, ending a long losing streak that had stretched 4 weeks. And I look at their schedule. I am not going to get excited about the Atlanta Falcons, not at all. But they have a pretty soft schedule. They got, yes, exactly. They got the Giants at home, at Washington, tough, and then home against Panthers. So if there is anything in this team to suggest that they have a chance to hang around in, the middling NFC South, the schedule at least sets up well for them. But this was another game, Mark, where you came out of it being like, man, Kirk Cousins looks old. They were able to run the ball, but there's no explosive element to this offense. And in the end, you're like scratching your head, and you see Raheem Morris. There was 2 Hail Marys to end the game. Raheem Morris, that I felt for the guy. as that ball's in the air and it gets knocked down at first and then an interception to end it, thinking to myself, he's this close. He's one bad bounce, as we saw happen to the Bears earlier this year, to one of the worst losses, the type of loss that can get you fired. And so head coaching is fertile ground for ulcers and all sorts of things. But the Falcons survive, and they end their losing streak and have at least a chance moving forward.
They're really mysterious to me because they seem so kind of withdrawn from the situation. Like, this was such a labored effort by, and I get why it is for the Raiders because they're a hot mess, but like, you look at the Falcons roster, what they've done in free agency, and they should, under the previous coach, Arthur Smith, and this coach, they should just be better. Like, if it weren't for Cordero Hodge partially blocking a punt early on and fully blocking one later, I don't think they win this game. Like, and that's not the centerpiece of their team, but it took that. Like, that was the most impressive thing that happened. And I do think that Dan Orlovsky, and he was trying to sell this game. I give, and it's not easy. This was I give them credit for remaining awake during this contest, but he did point out on 3 or 4 critical Kirk Cousins moments that he's just like his delivery and where the ball ends up comparison to where the hands of the receiver are or the location of the target. He's just not doing it. And it's like, so I guess I don't want to go back to the same conversation, but like, do you just mine your way through the end of the season, easy schedule or not, with a quarterback that's not making the throws? We know he can't move very well, but it's like, I did trust that we'd get to a point where like he would be able to deliver from the pocket. But I think everything that's happening to his entire body and his age and his lower half, and I'm not I don't go diagnose that all the time, but it's like, you can just see he can't do what he used to be able to do. And I think that's holding them back. It's not because I really want to see a different quarterback with this group of people. And it's a shame that we're here because he's a likable guy and all that stuff. But like, this team is so sluggish and hard to watch.
He got old, and here's the Falcons. They've had some success, but another team that's never won a Super Bowl that, even when you make the move that you think's the right move, it ends up not being the right move because it looks like you got Cousins a year too late. And that Achilles, it just goes to show you that when you're an older player, that's the type of injury that can have, a long shadow. And yeah, he doesn't throw the ball like he did before the injury last year, or certainly the years before that. And it's made their offense, pretty tough to watch. I just continue to wonder the fact that we haven't seen Michael Penix, who's the number 1 pick for this team, a first-round pick. We don't see what's going on in the practice situation. It might be, I'm not calling it a dire situation, but the reason Raheem Morris hasn't flipped the switch is probably less out of like loyalty to Kirk Cousins and what he's done, and more they don't think that the rookie's ready. Now, there might be a point where you have to do that to kind of save your season, and quite frankly, I thought it was going to come as soon as tonight after Cousins looked so bad in Minneapolis, and you were never going to bench Cousins when he was playing the Vikings in Minnesota. But this felt like maybe a chance. So the fact that they're continuing to stay with Cousins, and now that they won this game, they can look the other way and be like, okay, we're in good shape. But yeah, the stats don't lie. I mean, Cousins 11 of 17 for 112 yards with a touchdown and interception. This is a guy that has been one of the more prolific, consistent producers in the NFL over the last 10 years or so. And weirdly, Mark, the only other thing that makes me wonder, is there something else going on here? Is he battling through something? It wasn't that long ago, Mark, that he was shredding the Bucs on Thursday Night Football for 500 yards. It's not like he's never shown it this year, but he certainly hasn't shown it in a long time now, going on a month and a half.
I mean, we're talking about 2 teams tonight, the Bears, previous coaching staff, but then this situation where the guy in charge is a defensive coach. And I just wonder if you're Zach Robinson, a pretty unempowered Falcons offensive coordinator, like, what if you want to try Penix? Like, do you have a voice in the room? I'm not sure how that goes. And that, you're right. We just don't know what's happening. They did show Penix, and they mentioned, again, I trust like when these coaches or the announcing stat like groups say certain things about players, little nuggets that like Penix tonight was more involved than he's ever been. He's down on the sideline. He talks to Cousins. Cousins is receptive to what he's saying. So he's not off. He's not a mousy figure off in the shadows. And I just wonder, like, when this season gets to the point where it's like, well, why not check him out for 2 or 3 games? And if something happens, your whole coaching staff goes into the offseason like with a completely different vision and feel to itself. So I think you almost have to give it a try. If they flounder again and they're out of this, and it's going to take a bit in that conference, like, I'd give it a try.
Well, let's see here. Yeah, like I said, you got the Giants next week. I mean, if you want to, again, I do think it's worth considering if you feel somewhat confident that Penix could handle the job, that you would get a soft landing against a really bad Giants team at home next week. I think, like, what's the goal? I know this, we don't believe this to be the truth, but the Falcons, their goal is to win the Super Bowl. What is telling you that the way they're set up right now is a Super Bowl winning team or even a division winning team? I don't see it, but we'll see if Raheem Morris pulls the trigger at any point, and if he does, we'll be remembered this season as he pulled the trigger too late, especially if Penix shows up next year and balls out, and it's one of those things like, oh my God, I can't believe it. You mentioned it. I guess the big takeaway is the rest of the team picking him up. The Falcons got a blocked punt, a tipped punt from Hodge. Kevin King blocked an extra point. Punter Bradley Pinion pinned the Raiders inside the 10-yard line 4 times, including twice in the 5. And that type of stuff is what you need to beat a terrible Raiders team. I don't know what else to say. If there's anything we need to say about the Raiders, Mark, other than they're now on a 10-game losing streak.
I mean, I think you got to take and it's another owner situation. Who knows what who knows what's going on in his head? But like, I take a long look at this coaching staff because when it comes to time management, we've harped on it. 8 out of however many weeks that something has happened where they don't communicate well, and it's like, how long do you think it's going to improve? Do you want to try this again? Like, I think you need to modernize, and because they're one of the teams that's going to pick one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the draft, and like, you want to put them into this situation? I mean, you can't do that now.
Did you see who? Maybe the most interesting thing I saw, and granted, it was on secondary TV status, and I didn't hear a lot of Orlovsky because I had the volume on the other TV. But Mark Davis's partner in the luxury suite, just a wild scene with Mark Davis.
Like, I saw him, but like he was sort
you,
of. Like,
you didn't see?
I saw him like
the lady he was sitting next to.
No, but I mean, I have seen him at Super Bowl week, and like, I know, he's in his white tracksuit. I know how that goes, and he's not alone. Yeah.
Here's an example of something we were never able to talk about on the old show, and we could talk about now. Okay. Mark Davis, legendary for every league event we went to. You could count on, you wouldn't see any of the other owners ever, really. But if you were at the league hotel, you could guarantee when you came through the lobby, you would see Mark Davis, as Mark said, wearing a long sleeve white Raiders t-shirt, white jeans, white sneakers, sitting at a table, having some drinks with 2 to 3 ladies typically.
Sometimes 3 to 5. I mean, event. Yeah, no, he enjoys aspects of his life.
Looked for the people that did notice who Mark Davis was sitting next to today, and they always looked like that lady, that girl. Just I'll leave it there.
That's where you can leave it. But yes,
people could deduce whatever they want to deduce because I don't know what truly is going on, but Mark Davis, man, that's a dude. He's got something going on.
I could guess what's going on, but like, yes, you're right. I won't on this show.
I mean, you can. That's the whole thing.
Well,
that's
I mean, I think
it's
called money. It's called power. It's called. Let's leave it right there. That's the 2 bullet points I'd suggest.
Access to mega babes. That's the other thing.
Well, those 2 things probably provide that access. But yes,
I'm bringing Babe back in 2025.
Well, it's time.
I think it's been in mothballs for about a decade or so.
And Babe could mean Justin. It could mean anyone. Like, we understand that. So you could be referring to anyone.
Justin, you get a haircut? Speaking of Babe.
I did get a haircut. Thanks for noticing.
Daddy likes daddy. All right, let's take a break, and when we get back, we'll hit a little news and then get out of here.
Are you playing an underdog yet? There's so many ways to get in on the action, whether it's higher, lower, pick'em entries, daily drafts, or season-long tournaments. And it's not just the NFL. The NBA is back. You've got NHL, college sports, so many options. So don't miss out. Just scan the QR code on your screen to download and play on the Underdog app. Or if you're not watching on YouTube, sign up with the code HTC, our show, and you can receive up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. Make the most of your sports fandom by playing along on Underdog. For our U.S. audience only.
All right, we're back. As you heard from Mark during that little ad break, we are on YouTube. We have people live with us on YouTube. The show is humming on YouTube. We have a great producer with an incredible haircut that's doing incredible production work. If you are an audio listener to the show, that is totally cool. And that's where we started. That's where our roots are, Mark. But I really think the show in its most developed form now is over on the YouTube side of things. So make sure you subscribe, check us out, and remember, hashtag 48.4.
Well, plus you get to, on certain days, you get to see Connor Orr inside his household. And, you know, you don't see, well, the visual there is striking, but we can do what we want now. We add a lot of little visual elements. And so you could be on the audio and say, well, if you were on the YouTube, you would be enjoying this more thoroughly, but you're driving around in your lease vehicle with only audio. Like maybe, let's fix that. Let's work on that.
Okay.
I like those people too, though. I'm not trying to suddenly
we
them
love the audio listeners.
Right.
But if you have a chance to give it a shot, you could watch it on your device. You could watch it on your TV. You could. It's a show. It's a program, not just an audio podcast.
Like a big heavy desktop. You could watch it on if that's how you're.
Yeah, big old clunker.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's check in with the people on the live stream right now. Matt Tepp, I own my vehicle, good sir. Good for you. Respect
well,
that.
you've achieved more than I have.
Danielle, you could tell me there were UFOs on the field in the fake Monday night game, and I would believe you. Yeah. I can't imagine that it's doing a big number with ESPN that game. What else we got? Big Papa Pump. That's the name of my Bose speaker in my house, by the way, when you want to connect with it. Caleb Williams will be the next Trevor Lawrence. I think it's too soon to say that. I don't even know what Trevor Lawrence is, to be honest with you.
Well, I think I know what he's saying, though, because I think
Yeah.
you've said it yourself to some degree. You've suspected it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait. Danielle has something else that I'm seeing that I want to jump in with. Mark, when do we get to see Levi again? Yeah, what happened? Where's Levi? Your famed jacket.
Well, I've not ditched it. It's just in the other room, but this room is it gets very warm, and so if I were to wear it, I'd have to be. Yeah, I'll work on that. Let's start there. But this particular room gets very warm. And
Yeah,
so
but we used to be in that sterile studio at NFL Media, and you would wear it all the time under the lights, and you'd tell us how hot you were, and you get the vapors. Like, what's going on? What's the real story?
Well, no, I think what I'm offering is that I'll give it a shot and see how it goes.
Oh, okay. Well, the ladies want it back. Anything else?
Well, probably
Justin?
maybe at most one, and probably to make to giggle at it.
Tyler, Dan, how about the news that Thomas Dimitroff is interviewing with the Jets for GM? Mediocrity plus. I thought Dimitroff, he did a pretty good job with Atlanta. He got him to a Super Bowl. It didn't work out how they wanted, but he also has a great haircut. So that's bonus points for me.
I would say one quick thing. Like we know the group of people looking for the candidates. I'm not surprised that's one of the people that drummed up. I do think Dimitroff historically brings stability.
Yeah, professionalism. Matt, think we see Anthony Richardson in a Justin Fields situation in a few years? I think it's too early to say, but I think it's fair to criticize a player for not playing at a high level, which he certainly has not this year, without fear of retribution from the football cognoscente. All right, let's do some news.
Obviously now sitting here hindsight after them taking it down to the 3-yard line, yeah, I wish I wouldn't have done that. But it is what it is.
Dan Campbell owning up to his onside kick decision. in the loss to the Bills in Week 15. And that's not the only loss for the Lions. Mark, this is a major problem. The injuries now have gone nuclear for the Detroit Lions, who have dropped out of sole possession of first place in the NFC North. And you just wonder, what attrition can do to this team's Super Bowl hopes. Their defense took more hits. McNeil, their DT, who had been stabilizing that front after Aiden Hutchinson went out with a broken leg. He tore his ACL. He's out for the year. Lions cornerback Carlton Davis, he fractured his jaw. He's out 6 weeks, and they don't know when he could come back. And then on the offensive side of the ball, running back David Montgomery, he tore his MCL in the game, and he's going to need surgery, and his season's over. So that great 1-2 punch with Gibbs and Montgomery has now been compromised as well. Here is Campbell also from today about what they do moving forward as the injuries stack up.
Yeah, looks like he's gonna require surgery that'll put him out for the rest of the year. And he had gotten it at some point yesterday in that game. I mean, David's so tough, man. He continued to play through, and then got it checked out today, and realized that's what it was. And I mean, he's just the ultimate teammate, ultimate competitor. We're going to miss him, man. He's another one of these guys that got us to this position, helped get us to where we're at. And man, the rest of us, we owe him to keep going and make sure that wasn't in vain. No different than Mac. Mac's out for the year. Same, he's got a knee injury. It's going to require surgery. Dorsey had his last night. CD, he's got a jaw. He'll be out. So, those guys helped us get to this point, so we owe it to them. They laid it on the line for us.
Tough. And we're going to dig in more on the Lions and their issues and challenges in the midweek show, so we could stick a pin in it for now. But it's a major problem for the Lions, and it felt like the only thing that could stop them is the injury bug, and hopefully it doesn't, but we're going to see.
We will dig in, but it feels like, because this has been going on for so long, that there are more people, and I know they're getting a few guys back, but there are more people on that injury list than those who signed the Declaration of Independence. That's where it's getting to at this point. I don't think there aren't that many team situations like this where 3 weeks ago they looked like the most dominant bully football had created in a long time, and here we are, and you wonder what the future is. They could tumble down in seeding by an insurmountable amount. So
Hutchinson, these are the players out or on IR right now. Hutchinson, McNeil, Davis, Anzalone, Barnes, Martin, Dorsey, Melifonwu, Rakestraw, Mosley, all guys that were important parts of the team, most of them on the defensive side of the ball, and you saw how the defensive side of the ball struggled against the Bills. So, all right, we'll talk more about that as things move on. And what is this? We got a tweet here from Sid. So the Quiet Storm picks the Lions in the Super Bowl draft. Their winning streak ends. They lose more defensive players to injury and now possibly Montgomery for the season. The voodoo is for real. Oh, are we going to stick this one on Sessdog too?
No,
that's tough.
Come on.
That's tough. But it's fair to point out. It's tough.
It feels like a nugget, but I can't take that too. I'll be a target by multiple, thugs from multiple cities, gunmen.
Yeah.
Foreign assassins. I don't need that. I
don't need a Luigi Mangione type coming for Sessdog out of the defense of his team.
It would be a great way to go out, but you'd rather be the assassin because everyone remembers the name of the assassin. If he doesn't assassinate, he or she doesn't assassinate.
Well, I was going to say, for you would hope that it was a female assassin, famously, that took you out.
Well, one can only hope, but I can't.
There's something. There's a certain level of, I don't know, for you, Mark, something that draws you to that.
I don't know why it is. It's not logic. It's not a logical scenario. It's a sense.
I'd love to make eye contact with my producer right now and try to get the Jameis Winston sex drop, but he turned his camera off. What are you doing over there, Justin? What's going on tonight?
What do you mean? Do you want me to sit in this bubble the whole show?
I like being able to, because I thought then I could see if you're reaching to hit the drop, because you missed the drop. You know I love you. You're usually
That
on
is
top
the
of
actual. That is the one thing is like it's
Wait,
not a.
your
That
sex
is the
addiction?
actual
You got
size.
it. It's too late.
That is the
You
actual
addicted
size
to
of
sex?
Justin. That's
Sex
what I
addiction
wanted
or
people to know.
It's never too late for this drop on Mark.
Anyway, let's move forward. I just like to see you, Justin. I just like to see you. What can I say? In other injury news, the Chiefs. Yeah, it's a waiting game situation with Patrick Mahomes. It is deemed a mild high ankle sprain. He's considered week to week. Here's the issue, though, Mark. The Chiefs play Saturday, and then, thank you, Park Avenue. They have a quick turnaround for a Wednesday, Christmas Day game. You're playing football on a Wednesday just so you could take out the NBA with a sniper's bullet yourself. Unbelievable. And that means that Mahomes could hypothetically miss multiple games here, but Rap Sheet also reports there's a chance he practices this week, but his status is in doubt. So Mahomes, keep an eye on that. And also, Seahawks quarterback Geno Smith's knee is structurally okay. We're being told he'll have more tests to determine the extent of the injury, but it looks like the Seahawks dodge a worst-case scenario there.
I would say one thing for you, Dan. You've been surmising that the Chiefs were going to get dinged here at some point and not.
They're done. There's no doubt in my mind, Mark.
Well, look at the schedule.
The Chiefs will be picked off before the Super Bowl this year.
But I think part of it is in this AFC. I think this year especially, if you got Buffalo, it's like you've got to get home field. That's what the Chiefs need. They play the Texans and Steelers in that 5-day span. If you lose him for those two games, that is a different situation. And then you close with Denver. What if it's Denver too? But there's another world where he's playing literally on the 21st of December. That's where my money is at the moment.
I would not put it past him. The Steelers, T.J. Watt has an ankle injury. Mike Tomlin optimistic that he will be available for their Saturday game against the Ravens. Said he's walking around comfortably. Says the door is ajar for T.J. Watt, and knowing what's on the line between the Ravens and Steelers, I would be stunned if T.J. Watt is not playing in that game. And finally, in the news, Dolphins wide receiver Grant Dubow's really scary injury he suffered in the game against the Colts, and he remained at a local Houston hospital for evaluation against the Texans, He remained at a local Houston hospital for evaluation overnight. He has movement in all extremities, and initial tests have revealed positive results that the Dolphins, and that is great news because just to be real now after the fact, as I watched that live, the way he got hit and the way they had him strapped up, and it did not look good.
It was different.
Yeah, it felt different in all the worst ways. So this is a best case scenario, really. So I'm glad to hear that Grant Dubose looks like he is trending toward being okay. All right, anything else in the chat before we sign off? Dan, do you still do power rankings as a hobby? Oh, what do you mean, Justin? Justin Meade, not Justin Graver. We do the power rankings every Tuesday morning, and then Justin Graver, our intrepid producer, sorts them, collates them, and presents them, and we'll have a new power rankings coming out for the midweek show with Connor Orr.
And one other pitch for the YouTube, you wouldn't get this if you were just it floats across the screen visually, so you can, even if you miss the beginning, you can keep it comes back around. So
right, what is the term? What is the industry term, Justin, for the scroll at the bottom? What is it? The scroll?
The ticker.
Ticker.
The ticker.
Pretty simple.
So Justin Meade, check the ticker to see Justin Graver's handiwork. Okay, anything else? You could jump in too, Justin, if you just want to hang out with us. I think I just want to hang out with Justin. And it's like, who knows what he's doing?
Very avoidant. He's very avoidant.
He's getting his hair cut, and he's just hiding in the shadows tonight. I just want to hang with you, bro. Pats fan Ben, any in-person live events for Heed the Call in 2025? We believe there will be. In fact, I'd be very surprised if there is not. We're just now figuring out what those events will be.
Right.
Like, for instance, we're trying to get to the Super Bowl, and if we can get to New Orleans for the Super Bowl, we have a situation cooking where we could have a live show from there, and then Mark and I have some big plans for the offseason. I'll just leave it at that from now. So all that stuff is on tap. We're very excited. Mark Davis, finally, last one. Hope you all like the Heed the Call Christmas pick that I whipped up on X, Kiwi Bills. Yeah, do you have that one, Justin?
I
Yes.
love this.
I loved it.
I know one person who might have been a little nonplussed by
Yeah,
it.
I think Jordan got done dirty a little bit on this one.
I like what you did. And look at this time, there's no, we didn't have to put Damashek back in there. He was right in there, right in the mix.
I love that Shaq's there, the Podfather, and Money Mike kind of looks like Pedro Martinez in this shot, but that is Money Mike. That is not Money Mike's hair that I know, Money Mike.
No.
But picture seated on Santa's lap. Mark, you look exactly like your son, but with a beard.
Yeah, true.
great
And Connor
flex in
looks
it.
like it's because I know we're all meant to be. Everyone has sort of babyish hands, but Connor
Right.
looks like a baby with an adult's visage. So it's I can't stop thinking about that. But you did you did a good job here.
Great job.
Dan,
Thank
yeah.
you very much. Jordan kind of made Jordan look like a monster. So if we took a second pass on that, maybe that's something we could work on for the next photo. But otherwise, loved it. All right. Great stuff. Thank you to everybody in the chat. We love doing these live streams. And we'll do another one for Thursday Night Football. And don't forget that the midweek show will feature the Connor Orr Hallmark Holiday Spectacular. And then on Wednesday evening on the Patreon, we will be doing our live watch of Holiday Touchdown, a Chiefs love story. That is going to be a lot of fun. And Daddy will be having a couple Tito's. So just remember that. And
Which daddy?
Well, every daddy, probably.
Okay.
And do us a favor. As soon as the stream ends, leave an actual comment in the video on YouTube. That helps the algo. That helps us. That helps us take it to the people that try to take us out. We rise above. Right, Cess Dog?
Oh, yeah, we do.
We rise above with you. And thank you. Heed the call.